Hey everyone, this is DayTraderRockStar, and this is the high probability watch list for the week of August 13th. I want to guess. Next week, August 13th, we're going to kick it off. Wow, we're going to split this video into two parts. First part is kind of a review, an overview of the market, a review of our trades. And the second part will be, of course, the new setups for this week. Now, I am extremely happy, and I am, kind of toning it down on the video because I don't, I think it's important in the market, if things are working out really good, is never to really get too overconfident. The market really knows a way of humbling the person. So, I always try to keep an even balance. If we're doing really well in the market and things really playing out, I just want to continue to do that. It makes me even want to work harder. So, I've been putting a lot of time and it's been paying off. We talked about this market as a vehicle to trade, to make money. And, I use the analogy, it's a casino sometimes. But just like in a casino, you want to play the games that give you the best chance of winning. And with the markets, you want to always be in the stocks that gives you the best chance of winning at the right time. Same thing with a deck of cards. You want to be able to, as the old card counters used to say, you wanted to have the deck lined up in your favor before you started. And that's exactly what I like to do in HPS. So with that said, we talked about the markets. We talked about this 1, 2, 3 pattern. 3 patterns to 1, 2, 3 pivot areas representing a powerful a pattern, the beginning of a pattern where you start to already plan out the fourth move, because most times in the market a price range will go between an area, and that area later defined as a channel. And this is one of the best ways to recognize that channel before the channel really develops with your fourth pivot and your fifth pivot. By that time, that's a pivot, that's short. But what if you knew this one to short right up here? What would have, if that you build up your confidence, you're one step ahead of most people trading this market. Most people are not looking at this way. Anyway, we took the short into this. It worked out great, took calls in the SPXU. And then it pulled back, and we paid attention to the 60-minute chart. And the 60-minute chart got oversold. And we took it off. And then we had a nice bounce up here. And we rolled up here to the upper part of the trend line. And then we went short again. And we went short again. We held into today as a hedge, and then we covered again. So and these setups on the short side have been working good. And my plan was to try to stick to the ETF shorts, the short the overall market versus individual stocks, because as you know, I am also short Lockheed Martin LMT, and this one hasn't performed relative to the market. You're not seeing that move. It's holding on for dear, It's holding on. So, some stocks you might get into and they're just going to take off, in a market that's not really performing. So it's really, when we're looking at the overall markets, I want to stick to the SPXU. I want to stick to the SPY puts. Basically, even just look at some of the other ETFs that track the 2 times and the SSO and stuff like that. And that, I think, is the best way to trade these 60-minute charts on this. So, we did good. We did really well on the ES. And let's just update us on where we are now. We're at a level right now. This is the SPX. This is how we closed out today. I thought we had a little more of a turnover. Well, you know what? Let me take a look at the daily here. All right, so take a look at the daily. I want to go out on the SPY right now. I think sometimes I get just a better read on the candles on the SPY here. And you can see we kind of hung above the 20-period moving average. The daily stochastics have been going down, and we didn't take out yesterday's highs, which is important. So we still have this downward momentum that hasn't really turned back up yet. We didn't take out yesterday's highs, which is important. We did take out yesterday's lows, but we're holding that 20-period moving average and really not getting any, there's no HPS setup here. We're not at a, extreme level of the stochastics on the trend line and stuff, but we are in a point where this market probably could go either way. Technically, with the daily pointing down, the 60-minute, kind of choppy, it could go either way. Very hard to make the call on which direction we head in this market. Overall, the market's been very strong and momentum, and I don't feel like this is the end of the move up. It's just a matter of, does this kind of flag out a little bit more before we move up? So again, going into next week, we kind of scaled out a lot of trades this week. Had a great trading week. I tell you, the call and the basic material stocks really performing well. The Valet, the PBR, the U.S. Steel. Look at these. These are off the one. This is off of something totally that we never really talk about, but I talked about it this week, because once you find a really good bottom in a stock and you miss the initial move, in this case, we were actually in this move. But once you get to that point, you don't, this might be a high probability setup. It might be the combination of the 60 coiled up, a trend line, the daily dual stochastic, the lower, lower part of the channel. Everything looks really good down here, and you get that initial move. So you have to wait for that next big setup, and that next big setup here is that rotation back down on the daily. But it's also because it was such a good low. We look at a 50% retracement of that move. And that came right in between these two lines, 38 and the 61. It's 50% right here. It touched it perfectly. It chopped around a couple days, and then boom, off to the races. The same thing could be said on PBR. And PBR was another textbook entry. And again, follow through on the pullback. The divergence was there. Remember, divergence between stochastic and price is very important. And lots of times when you start to see a higher low, that's a change of a trend. So short-term trends, long-term trends, micro trends, there's a bigger trend here, but there's a shorter trend here. And when these get oversold and the price maintains above the previous day's low, then you're looking for a move up here. So this is exactly what we have going on here in PBR. Now, it did get its move up. Earnings are out tonight. I don't have the earnings in front of me yet. I think they're coming out at 7 o'clock. So we'll see if that actually gaps up. But we took profits into it, so we have nothing to worry about. But that's just a great technique to use, the 50% retracement off a major bottom. How do you know it's a major bottom? Well, something that comes across by looking at the overall pattern. We see it's a wedge pattern. We know that wedge patterns break out between 65 and 75% of the thing. And also I looked at the weekly, and it wasn't very often that the weekly got set up here, and the weekly actually looked like a great setup. Each time the weekly got oversold, now remember, you get oversold and take 3 or 4 weeks to round back up, and who wants to be involved in this trade right here? Not me. So we try to not look at the weekly as much. But if the weekly is in your corner, meaning you're starting to head back up and everything else is lining up on the daily, this is go, man. PBR could actually end up here somewhere the next month. I mean, this has everything wrapped up. I think we'll be back in this. Russia came out with some good trade data overnight. Same thing here with the Valet. Weekly starting to turn back up, big pop, everything looking very, very strong here. U.S. Steel. Yesterday I saw the strength in U.S. Steel. I said, all right, you know what? Something's going on. When U.S. Steel rallies and it's on volume, it usually has a follow-through day. Made the call for a move to $19, very short term, picked up 15 calls, and we sold them for close to a triple today. Or maybe it was a double plus change. Anyway. Bought them 11 cents. I think I sold it. Sold it at 34 cents. So that was a triple. 3-bagger. That was great. I mean, that was a fantastic trade. I'm happy that we were able to identify that before it took off. Now, here's U.S. Steel, same situation. Do these have more in it? We have a weekend in front of us. This is a big, we could see a lot of hype come out early next week on these brokers are seeing some action in the steel. They have no clue what this stock is all about and what it's going to do. But what they do notice is, hey, momentum. Momentum. Volume's picking up. Well, all of a sudden, Goldman here are going to upgrade the steel sector, just to give it the follow-through momentum, and they're going to look like geniuses. This thing could take off. It's something to watch next week. We had so many great trades over the last 2 weeks. I mean, and even some of the trades that are currently down today, we recognize when to get out of them. Monsanto, great example of that. Take a look at that, our entry, downward channel, dual stochastic, our exit, overbought stochastics, 60-minute chart. Look at what happened. Pulled right back. Probably going to head back up, but you know what? We capture the profit from here to here. Don't have anything to worry about it as it pulls back. I mean, it's a short game too, but I'm not about to short this stock. So I mean, that's how you do that one. God, we were in the dark. Remember the restaurant stocks? Same scenarios. You buy on the lower trend lines. Even if we had a little spill through here, because it was such a good pattern right here and you're oversold on the 60, you're just really starting to coil down and you're just getting just coiled up on your 60, you're in downward channel, this becomes such a powerful level. And don't be scared that the trend line is violated a little. Usually those waterfalls are just over, they just overshoot their boundaries and you see them bounce right back in. How many times have I shown you a stock that says, oh, it's overshot its boundary, let's wait until, it's going to probably make its way back to that boundary and probably close at it or above it, and we do. So anyway, DRI was a great trade too. We keep on going through. Fusion IO, I think, was the only one I really took off for the loss this week, and I did that because earnings were coming out. So we got out right before earnings, and look at where it went. I'm so happy to be out of this stock rot. So happy to be out of it. Let's see what else we got here. Verizon was okay. I mean, it moved up a little, and then we kind of rolling over. We got out for a little profit. Some stocks I just didn't want to hold on to going into this week. So the Panera, great setup, popped up. I'm still interested in Panera. I still think it goes higher, but we took profits. We took profits this week. Amgen, AMGN. I mean, we got a huge move. Came back from lunch, took profits. I mean, it was a smart thing to do. Perfect flag. The reason we were buying this was because it was a perfect flag. And it was, something I liked a lot here. Now, it just happened to be some kind of news got released. It popped that up. We happened to just get out of it, not looking back, just taking it and run. Oh boy, here's Dowie calling me up. I have to hold on a second. Sorry about that. Back here with you. So again, that was what we were just looking at there. Let me go back one. Verizon. All right, so the Verizon here, we're still watching it. It's actually set up on the HPS trend line alert. We have a trend line down here. I don't think it's gonna get down there. Original area of interest here will be off this 200 period moving average. It's already oversold on the daily. I think this would be a fantastic entry off the 200. If you could get down here, there's an alert set up in the system for it, so you don't have to worry about it. Verizon, Panera, Amgen, CCL. That was a short we took this week. I mean, can you I know you guys, the ones who don't think I short enough, got to be impressed with this week. I took a lot of shorts this week. And, Carnival Cruise Line, one of the topping patterns, which I noticed in Liongate Films today, and we put out the alert on Liongate Films, LGF. Now, take a look at LGF. When last time I looked, does that look kind of familiar there? This is a bearish engulfing pattern. Very similar. Well, not as similar, but where's that? That's a 60-minute. Come on. CCL. Yeah, there it is. Very similar to the topping pattern that we saw in Carnival Cruise Line, which I picked up the short on. So again, Liongate Films, maybe something growing here as a short. LGF. This is the first day, and it could be a good setup on that. So Carnival Cruise Line, a great little short there. And then, of course, the Valet, VALE, took profits on that. The Monsanto took profits on that. The RAI, Reynolds American. The reason I took this one off is because it's telling me, hey, be careful here. It's not terribly overbought here or oversold. It's kind of hanging in the middle on the stochastics. But when we did get overbought, it did pull back, and I'm saying, you know what? We're right up against this trend line. The daily is looking like a perfect flag. How many times have I seen this pattern play back down into this pattern before breaking out? So, I just took it off, and I said, you know what? Even if it breaks out, that's okay. The Philip Morris PM, still looks okay. Altria still looks okay. They're hanging on the trend lines. It's touch and go on this. I think you have plenty of time to get into these if they move. All right, and the PBR today also took off here. So we got the crossover. Again, earnings coming out tonight. I don't have it. Waiting for that. But those are some of the other stocks. Again, we could go right down the list. Actually, I'll show you the list. Here's Ann Taylor. We took it right off of this level. This was an HPS setup. Now, let me tell you how many setups are setting up like this today. In today's watch list. That's going to be the second part of this this video, which will probably run about an hour overall. But this is, this is where we want to be. Now we've come back down here, and we're back off. You can see the initial bounce, but it's breaking through the 200 period moving average underneath us. I'd pay attention to that. That's definitely something I'll be looking at. Am I interested in this one right yet? Let's take a look at the 60-minute chart. I just happened to be looking at it for the first time. I don't know why I didn't look at this one before, because I was busy finding so many good setups. Not interested in it now. But you can see, the trend line worked out great here. 1, 2, 3 pattern, 4, 5. It kind of bounced and it's kind of choppy. Philip Morris, again, that bounced. Let's see what else. The Visa, we did the Visa, was intraday stuff. The Dollar Tree, DLTR. Perfect flag, a breakout of the flag. It was just, classic. So what do we have for today? Let's just get into today. There's so many good stocks going into next week. That's what I really want to start off with. Let's forget about everything else. I had some great new entries today, and a new stock that you probably never heard of before. So let me cut this video off and restart it. You're going to actually not be cut off. You're just going to hear me talk a little bit differently, but I want to cut it off for other people who I don't want this valuable information to go to.